Thank you for joining us for Weekdays Live with Reverend Al Sharpton. Take the time to share this broadcast right now. Tell your friends it's time to keep it real with Reverend Al. Comment your questions now in the chat or call Reverend Al Sharpton directly on air at 877-532-5797. Now stay tuned for Reverend Al.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton. As you watch the broadcast, support National Action Network. Go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net and be involved. You can join, take your membership right online, www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Getting ready to start the program, but we need you to be part of the movement. Our theme this year is we're going to straighten out tricks in 26. Straighten out tricks in 26. All the tricks is over. Changing the voting line. Straighten out tricks in 26. Selling us product but don't give us our diversity, equity, and engagement and inclusion. Straighten out tricks in 26. The tricks is over. It's fighting time. It's stand-up time. It's correcting time. Come on. We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How do you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see. He said it again, Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. Yes, sir. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. Yeah. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting
Tuesday,
diversity,
January 6th, 2026. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to keep it real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. Good afternoon to you all across the country. Good morning to our West Coast listeners. Welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, Channel 126, The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I'm coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. For the next 3 hours, you can join the conversation by calling us at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our message board at www.nationalactionnetwork.net and go to live stream, and you can send a message. In fact, people already on the message board. Gary Thorrington is on the message board, said, I met you one day at the Birmingham, Alabama airport, and your spirit speaks now, and then God bless you, sir. When you come to Birmingham, I'll be there if God says so. Well, Gary, you make sure you're there. I'm coming to Birmingham. Between now and National Action Network's convention in April, make sure you come. I'll be announcing it, and I'll be looking for it. Reverend Tommy Lewis from Birmingham calls me just about every Saturday after the broadcast, letting me know that he sees the Saturday rallies. I love that. Thank you very much. Nicola DeMarco. Is that Nicola DeMarco? I hope I'm saying it right. It's from Tacoma, Washington. It's saying, good afternoon, Rev and Nan family. How many millions of dollars are we wasting per day on Trump's war in Venezuela? Congress and the press should find out. We cannot afford it. Now, Nicola is raising an excellent question, because all of these troops, all these vessels, all of that we have in Venezuela is coming out of taxpayers' money, while they have not yet rectified the Affordable Care Act, which expired the other night the 31st, while they're talking about cutting funding to vaccines for kids, while they're saying that inflation is high and unemployment is rising. But they have money to pour into going into Venezuela because Trump wants to, in my opinion, take care of his oil buddies. They arraigned yesterday Maduro and his wife. It'll be months and months and months before you think it'll ever get to trial. They're saying that they're going to run, first Trump said they're going to run Venezuela. Now they say they're going to help run it. Now let me tell you how schizo this was for me. You're going to take out Maduro. You claim that Maduro's running a corrupt government, drug trafficking, but you're going to keep in his vice president. You didn't call for re-elections. You're going to keep his vice president. So you're not changing whichever way the government proceeded. You're getting Maduro because you really want to be able to compromise whoever's there into dealing with them oil fields. That's my view. And the White House is focused on oil. He said it. He keeps saying it. He ain't apologetic about it. I don't know why some people are apologizing for him when he's saying that they're going to take the oil, manage the oil, and that they're going to have the oil companies do whatever, and the United States would reimburse them. This can't be the same administration that let cuts go to SNAP benefits. Oh, yes, it was. January 6th is also the day that we had the insurrection. If any of us that's over 4 years old don't remember this day, then I feel sorry for you in terms of your memory. You're right, James Thomas saying that Trump mentioned oil over 20 times. He did, first press conference. James is correct. He says January 6th is when they went to the elliptical in the state, in the District of Columbia, the United States Capitol, and had a rally on the elliptical. I've had rallies there. I know exactly where it is. It's on the grounds. And the speaker at the rally, January 6, 2001, was Donald Trump. 2021 was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump, at the end of his speech, said, I'll meet you up at the Capitol. Because why were they going to the Capitol? Because that's where the vote was going to be certified by the Congress and the Senate, that Joe Biden had won the election. It had already been announced in November of 2020. This was the certified. He said, we're going up there. I'll meet y'all up there. They went up there, stormed the Capitol. Trump went on the White House. They wouldn't let him get out the car. Stormed the Capitol, saying, let us lynch Mike Pence. Why did they want to lynch Mike Pence? Because the Vice President of the United States has to certify whatever the Congress and Senate was going to vote to do. And obviously, the Senate and the Congress was going to vote, certify the election, and the Vice President had to seal it. Stop him, seal it. This is their Vice President. Mike Pence was Trump's choice, Vice President. They beat up law enforcement, caused several deaths, urinated on the Speaker of the House, who was Nancy Pelosi at that time, urinated on her desk. Just made an unspeakable acts all in the Capitol, chased members of Congress, some afraid for their lives, literally breaking glass and beating law enforcement. And Donald Trump was sitting in the White House watching all of it on TV. It took them 3 hours for them to get him to say something to tell his followers to stop. And even then, it was half-hearted. Today, we should remember and never let this country forget January 6th. The people that died, they're having a march in Washington today. The ones that Trump pardoned, the people that rioted, the people that threatened the vice president, that threatened members of Congress, they're having a riot. Some of the Proud Boys, they call themselves. And they're memorializing one of theirs that was ended up dead by police that day. So there is a real connection to me between taking over Venezuela for drugs is your allegation, but you're really taking over for oil is your goal. And there's a connection for me with January 6th where you want to be able to do whatever you want to do. But my challenge every day on this show and any other show I do is I'm clear on what Trump's agenda is. What I'm not clear on is what is your agenda. Why are so many of us sitting there letting him do this? And we have no resistance at all. Or Reverend Alley, know we could do. Well, suppose if our fathers and mothers and grandparents had said that, we'd be sitting in the back of the bus. We wouldn't be working at the places we working at. I wouldn't be sitting in this office, a downtown office of Civil Rights Group. They paid a price to give us a better life than they had. I don't think they ever imagined we'd be sitting around silent while all those rights is being stripped away. Voting rights right now. Up. Louisiana case, they bring it to court where the courts just take out Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. This is where we are. Question is, where are you? That's why I do this show every day, hoping I hit one or two people that get more involved. All right, let's take a break. I'm coming back, going to the phones and to the message board. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back. Hi, it's Reverend Al Sharpton, President and founder of National Action Network. We are at the very end of 2025, and I want to first say that I want to thank all of the officers, chapter leaders, regional directors, national staff, and certainly National Board of National Action Network for a solid and absolutely incredible year in 2025. Despite the fact that we are under assault, voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion, the battles globally where we're seeing Nigeria and Venezuela attack, and on and on and on. We have been steadfast as an activist organization in the tradition of Dr. King. We started the year with a national call that thousands responded to, and we were in Washington on our side of town while Trump was being inaugurated on the other side of town. And we made a pledge. We told people to lift their hand and make the pledge. And we kept that pledge to work all year to keep the dream alive. And that led into when Trump went after DEI. We supported some that were boycotting, and we started boycotting, something that had never happened. We said we're going to go buy from those that have committed to keep DEI, and went in several cities around Costco's and Sharpton. We've now bought stock in other companies. We're going to shareholder meeting and demand they continue DEI. We've had a sensational National Action Network convention covering the span of activity, from political empowerment to education, to how we deal with the black church, how we deal with black women development that has to deal with both discrimination based on gender and race. And of course, we came to Wall Street by the thousands and marched in late summer on the anniversary of the March on Washington. And people thought you could not get people out, and they came from all over the country. And we marched on Wall Street and had an enormous turnout. The only mass black-led march this year. We had a lot of protests, a lot of marches. I salute all No Kings marches and all. But the Black Organization March, it welcomed everybody. We had white, black, everybody there. Was our march on Wall Street in August. And then our Triumph Award and on into our fall agenda of organizing, mobilizing. We've expanded. We've started chapters in about 12 new cities. So I am proud of what we've done this year, but it's only the beginning because our very rights are under attack, and they're not even being quiet about it. They want to revoke the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 may fall with this bill. They want to end the Civil Rights Act of 64. That's what the end of DEI is about. So let us be more alert and active than ever. History will decide whether the civil rights gains of the 50s and 60s died in the 2020s. That's on your watch and mine. So if we've got to march, we have to protest, we have to lobby, we have to rally, whatever we need to do, we need to put our shoulder to the wheel more than ever. I'm going to lay out a plan on King Day, both in Harlem at our annual event and in Washington at our annual Martin Luther King Day breakfast that we do in D.C. We do 2 cities that day. And then, of course, all roads lead to New York to pay for our convention. We had, as I said, the largest attendance convention last year. In 2025, it needs to be more this year because our very existence is at stake. We also are closing our negotiations on a new headquarters, our national headquarters that befit our mission. I'm so excited about it, but I can't give you details. We're just about ready to sign the contract, but it will be something that will last longer than many of our lifetimes. So we came alive in 25, despite a hostile administration, despite the fact that a lot of people were intimidated and spooked into silence. We came alive in 25. Now we have to straighten out tricks in 26. I need you, we need each other. Let's do this. All these tricks, don't forget, Trump only won by 1.5%. He is trying to act like he has a mandate. No, he has a mission, Project 2025. We have the mandate that we can't let them undo what has been done. And we must even go further for the empowerment of all people. Happy New Year. And be focused.
So good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my Black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't off, trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but
You're live, sir.
Keep it real.
All right, sir. You're
Any
live.
phone call?
All right, sir. You're live.
Real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And of course, you can go on live stream at nationalactionnetwork.net and right on our message board. Let me say, by way of announcements, don't forget Saturday and Sunday to watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MS Now. And we were not on last weekend other than I did a little snippet Sunday night, but we're on the whole show both nights this weekend. I really want to dig into what the cancellation of the Affordable Care Act really means. I don't think it's getting enough attention. I want to dig into the anniversary of January 6th and the implications of that, of a man inciting people to desecrate and assault people at the U.S. Capitol and pardons them. What Venezuela means for real. Are we setting up now a pattern where the U.S. president can go in and take heads of states? As deplorable as Maduro was, I have no qualms that Maduro was horrible and lost the election and wouldn't leave. But are we setting up a precedent that now he can go to Nigeria, now he can go to other places? I'm going to deal with it both Saturday and Sunday with members of the Senate, members of the Congress. Make sure you tune in Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. And, of course, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally Saturday morning at the House of Justice, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in Harlem, House of Justice, 106 West 145th Street in the village of Harlem. We definitely are looking for you there. You know, one of the things that is so blatant to me is that we are looking at things that we won't see. They are blatantly trying to displace any principles of democracy, any kind of support for the general American public. It's about the oligarchs and the rich, and the return to blacks as less equal than anyone else. It is really that simple. And I think that a lot of us just don't want to admit it. I don't know if that we don't have the courage to fight back, and if we admit what they're doing, we'd have to fight, so you got to act like they're not doing it. I don't know, is that we're in disbelief. We thought these days would never come back, but they're here. You gain nothing by trying to act like something's not happened that's happened. All right, let's go to the phone. Let me start in Manhattan, New York, brother. Sister Wale. Wale is on the line. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Wale. Let me say it correctly. Wale is on the line.
You got it. All right, peace and blessings.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
So let me first say now, I've been to, other than, because I don't remember where you got stabbed at. Was that in VA case?
No, I stabbed leading the march in Bensonhurst when they killed that young black teenager, Yusef Hawkins, because they didn't allow blacks in the neighborhood. And I went out there leading marches, and one Saturday a guy came and stabbed me at the beginning of March.
I've been with you at Fifth Avenue.
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead, finish saying what you
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I've been with you on Fifth Avenue. I've been to, I don't think it was Crown Heights, Howard Beach. Is that the one?
Yeah, Howard Beach.
Yeah, I've been right there. I'm like you. Like when you said Ben Crump, he called you. You say, "Yup, I don't need all the details. I'm on a plane. I'm there." That's me. If it's something I see, I ain't rolling with everybody, but I have been with you to, I would say, at least 3 or 4 situations, and stuff like that. But so that's one thing I wanted to say. I'm trying to think what was the other one. I believe, Reverend, that I don't really. Okay, I was watching the Panthers. The movie The Panther the other day. I know this ain't Hot Button Monday, and this is not. What's the thing on Fridays?
Exhale.
Get it off your chest.
Right.
Exhale. Right. It's neither one of those, but I just wanted to just express something. Because I wasn't clear totally about the Panthers. People make statements that the Panthers was, they was killers and they was out to shoot up people, whereas Dr. King was peaceable and peace and loving. And so I said, let me sit and watch this Panther thing. And the Panther, from what I saw, it was a movie though. It wasn't the actual, but from what the movie was depicting was that blacks was being abused by the police, just abused. And we had rights. There was laws that we didn't know as black people, as far as carrying legal guns and stuff like that. So in the movie, it showed you how this young man who was going, I'm not sure, it wasn't, what's his name? Huey Newton? It wasn't him. The other one. He was in college studying to be a judge. Okay. So originally he wasn't going to be down with the Panthers, but he started getting involved. I think they beat his mother. They was getting ready to beat his mother, and he socked the police and went to jail for a little while. But anyway, so he got with the Panthers. He would check all the guns, make sure they was legit, make sure the numbers wasn't scraped off on the guns, et cetera, et cetera. So my point in bringing them up is when people say, well, the Panthers was nationalistic and they all, they was all about killing white folks. No, they wasn't. No, they was not.
Never was. Never was. In fact, a lot of whites supported them, but go ahead.
That's right. That's right. So we got to start reading more. And as far as nowadays, blacks folks that feel that, the Afro and the dashikis, and I'm not down with the system and in with the government and all that kind of thing here, but yet they're getting checks and all this kind of thing here. First of all, when you look at the history of black people, okay, because you've done what you've done, so can't nobody take that from you. You did what you did. You're standing up there. You're resilient. You're still around. Obviously, you take care of yourself, and you do what you do. Nobody can take that from you. But a lot of us, we see how we've been abused. The history of what's happened to us, technically, white folks is really scared of us because they know legally we can carry guns. And if we was real murderers and thugs and killers, there'd be nothing but dead white folks laying everywhere. So let's be clear about that part. There's nothing wrong with us feeling that, as black people, that we should have an agenda. There's nothing wrong with us saying we need to pull out from this system and create our own system, just like we did in the different times when we had our own stores and different.
Yeah, but we had our own stores, but we didn't have our own system. And I think that we've got to do both. But thank you for your call. Let me take a break. We'll be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Reverend Sharpton, how do we begin to make peace with our past?
I don't think it's our obligation to make peace with our past. I think it's our obligation to learn from our past and to understand that soon we gonna be the past. I mean, a lot of us act like we gonna be permanent and that the past is the past. If we draw on the strengths of the past and uphold the dignity and the integrity of our people, and then perform it at our highest level in our generation, as Dr. Moss said, that's our obligation. One of the reasons that I've been so concerned about this cultural tone that we're in now is a lot of us have lost the dignity that our community has shown from Jamestown to now. I've questioned some of the artists that no longer sing to uplift us. And there's never been a generation that didn't use our music and our culture to lift us up. And the excuse is where they say, well, we just want to show what's there. But we never just accepted what was there. We always looked at what was there and looked through it and brought our people the way it needed to be. So in slavery time, we were singing Go Down Moses and Swing Low Sweet Chariot. We wasn't singing about the cotton picking nigga in the field. That's what we saw, but that's not what we sang. In slavery, in segregation time, we were singing We Shall Overcome. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. We wasn't singing the hoe in the back of the bus. So where is this coming from? And that's what we need to challenge. I wish, all of this about our friend Barack announced it today. I wish Obama had announced here, because Lincoln did not free us. The abolitionist movement freed us. Lincoln accommodated to freedom fighters. He was not a freedom fighter. Kennedy accommodated the king. Johnson accommodated the king. We got to quit giving the wrong people credit for our history.
family. We have a short visit today. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have the slavery.
Yeah, that's what exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life are from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went over his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket. From South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James and Jesse.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And where I knew Jesse was from James, I started in Brevard.
Yeah.
And James had died while I was out.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Let's go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ray. Keeping it real.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Rev. Rev, a couple things. I got a feeling Trump was going to say anything and everything to get people's minds off of Epstein. I think he's going to milk this story. I think nobody's that dumb where people think that even he thinks that he can just go into Venezuela and just run everything and control everything, you know, like it's the United States, like he's president of the United States. So I think it's rules. You mentioned it yesterday. You know, anything to get the mind off of Epstein. But in watching Nicole, I try to watch Nicole every day, Nicole Wallace, and she always brings up Epstein. There's not a day goes by that she doesn't bring up Epstein. But let me say this real quick. Trump is in office for 3 more years. And so whatever he has done, whatever he will continue to do, even in the future, will be undone by the next Democrat president. My only thing is, if the oil companies start going into Venezuela trying to extract that oil, can the next Democrat, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, can the next Democrat president put a halt to that? Or once they start working and they're up getting that oil, it's pretty much too late?
I think it's based on how it is done. If it is a deal-to-deal basis based on limited concrete times, it can be undone and not renewed. If they have a long-standing commitment and is integrated into the Venezuelan government the way it's operating in terms of some kind of collusion together, it might be hard to undo it, according to how it's done.
Right. Now, in your opinion, if these oil companies go into Venezuela where they're not wanted, is that an illegal act?
If they go in not wanted by the Venezuelan government, yeah. But I think what Trump is trying to do now is negotiate with the Venezuelan government that this is something that they've got to agree to. He's already threatened the vice president there, said it'd be worse for you than it is for Maduro. So I think that it's according to how the arrangements are made, which is why Trump and them are trying to do that.
Right. Now, they had an election, and Maduro didn't win. And now that he's captured, the vice president is taking control, which makes her illegitimate. Illegit. And so I'm hoping that the next Democrat president, whether this lady is still in office in Venezuela, is still in, she's under there. She wasn't even voted in. At some point, they have to recognize by 70% of Venezuelans who voted for this other person that she is the legitimate president of Venezuela.
Right.
And so I'm hoping they will put her back in office.
Well,
just undo
they can do that, or they can have another election, which is likely.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand Machado, who's been supportive of the woman that won the election and was denied it, has now said something about reaching out to Trump and sharing the Nobel Prize. So a lot is going on that we don't know where this is going. But that is why I'm more concerned about the precedent it sets. If we normalize that the president of the United States can just take the military and unseat, grab up, kidnap a head of state, then the politics behind it, what they end up doing later with Maduro or whoever, becomes secondary to the fact that they now have established the precedent that they can go in and decide who they want to take out of office in another sovereign nation. That's dangerous.
Right. And I'm kind of feeling sorry for Zelensky, because what Trump did to Venezuela, that gives the okay for Putin to do more damage and harm to Ukraine. You know, so I got this feeling that Zelensky, he may get a quick deal. I'm not for sure, but, you know, give up some land in order to, you know, otherwise Putin may just take it all based on what Trump just did in Venezuela.
Well, I think that a lot of the foreign affairs experts have said that Putin absolutely wants to take it all or none. And which is why he keeps making commitments. At least that's what Trump said, and then backing away from it, because he wants all the land back. And I think, you know, I honestly believe that Putin does not want to go down in history as having conceded any land. And and I think that is when they get close to a deal, he backs up and said, no, we got to have this, we got to have that, because he wants to say, this man took the land and I went and got it back. He's got all the power in the world in Russia. He does not want to be the one to go down in Russian history, is that they took land and he couldn't get it all back. I really believe that.
Yeah, but let me get your opinion on this. Now, Zelensky, he's playing defense. You know, at some point, he's got to start bombing Russia. You know, and if a lot of their people start getting killed, you know, it's almost like he just playing defense. I'm not going to let you take my land. So the closer you get to Ukraine, the more I'm going to defend. But at some point, he's got to play offense and start maybe going into Russia instead of defending Ukraine. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I mean, I think it's not a question of opinion. I think it's a question of ability. It's easy for you and I to sit here in the United States and say he ought to go into Russia. We don't know his military capability. We don't know the status and the momentum of his army, of his armed services, or his military men. We just don't know. So there may be a wish for some that support him, but he may not have the ability to do that.
Right. All right, Rev.
I don't know what morale is like in Ukraine. Is my point. But thank you for your call.
I
Let me
understand.
go to Germany to brother Rick. Rick, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Rick just hung up, sir.
All right, and let me go to Ozzy. Ozzy in Cincinnati, Ohio. We don't see Rick.
Yes, sir. Bishop. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to say that to me, my biggest concern with what's going on right now has to do with the taking of other nations' wealth, including their oil. We've seen this before. This was the playbook of Nazism and Hitler, where they went to other nations and stole their wealth, whether it was diamonds and gold, art. And it seems like our president is following that, and it's possibly because of what was reported about the book that he had in his nightstand next to his bed. If this is what they're doing, we have to consider the cost of life that it cost Germany in order to achieve the theft of other nations' wealth, because they lost over 4 million soldiers, either dead or missing. 4 million. And it was so bad, and their greed was so strong, they sent children 13 years old to the front line. Grandfathers were sent to fight. In order for these people who wanted this wealth to be able to just get to have this stuff. I'm sorry, I don't know how to, but I'm so upset that we are possibly looking back to tomorrow or back yesterday while we're looking forward by the life and death of many young men and some children in order to appease the very wealthy of us. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
I'm trying to understand your point. So you're saying that who is benefiting based on the death? I'm trying to follow you.
Well, during the World War II, the Nazi Party, the upper echelon,
right?
They're the ones that took all of this gold and the nation's wealth of the nations that they defeated. And they brought all of that wealth back to Germany. But the cost of them getting that wealth was millions of lives of their own people. And, Bishop, I want to say, that was the soldiers, 4 million plus soldiers. But that doesn't include the cost of lives from just the population when they were bombed by the United Front. That the people that lost everything, there are some people in this country that's willing to let to kill not only those people who they're trying to rob, but to kill our own. They're willing to let us die so that they can get more wealth. That's pretty much what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I'm not able to express myself properly, but the cost of what they're trying to do in human life is immeasurable. And I'm afraid we're going to die. We're going to die. We're going to die to appease these 1 or 2 percenters in order for them to get the wealth that they feel like they just got to have. We're going to die. It happens every time a government tries to take the wealth of other nations. I don't want my children to die. I'm a grandfather. I don't want to die. I don't want none of us to die so we could appease the 1%.
I think that's right. I think that there's no doubt about, both politically and morally, we should not be dying for the 1%ers. And I think we should not be, in my opinion, dying unnecessarily. And what is clear to me is that we have a power in Washington now, in the presidency, that doesn't care about any of that. But thank you for your call. And I see Evangelist Ramsey, our extraordinary activist in New York, writing, "Good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. How are you? I'm holding on by God's grace. Grace and peace to all viewers. Happy 6th day of New Year. Let's continue to be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. One can chase 1,000. Two can put 10,000 to flight." Thank you, Evangelist Ramsey. I needed a word right up in here. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real, keeping it real, keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. Keeping it real.
We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who could run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, "Jesus, son of David, come see about me." They kept telling Jesus, "Let's go, look, we got a schedule, we got people to see." He said it again, "Jesus, son of David, come see about me." And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, "If you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are." But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
In London, yeah. We've got many problems there. We need you over our side. Yeah, you're invited anytime, please. Whenever you want to come.
There we go.
Guys! What's up, Doc?
So we are in not a political dilemma, we are in a moral dilemma. And if the black church does not come with a prophetic voice, then who's going to do it? We can go through all the data, all the statistics, all we're going through in the workshops, but the question is, where is the action going to be? We all believe in Jesus. Jesus didn't teach theology, he healed people. And they learned the nature of the theology based on his healing. We got to heal this nation. And if we heal this nation, the nation will return to our churches. But we've become silent and compromised. And we try to blame it on, I'm not in this. You are in this. You live it, your members live it. Unemployment now is higher now than it's been since the pandemic. Yet we survive. Yes, sir. There's no history in the world of any people that went through the kind of psychological, cultural, and physical slavery like blacks did in America. The only reason we're still here is because of our faith. We had no external strength. We had an internal strength. And it was the God that we were taught by our mamas and grandmamas that brought us through. And I don't care who's sitting in the White House, we cannot betray the God that brought us through.
Our theme this year is we're going to straighten out tricks in 26. Straighten out tricks in 26. All the tricks is over. Changing the voting line. Straighten out tricks in 26. Selling us product but don't give us our diversity, equity, and engagement and inclusion. Straighten out tricks in 26. The tricks is over. It's fighting time. It's stand-up time. It's correcting time.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever never get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. And we're back 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go right back to the phones. And, of course, we're going to keep looking at the message board. Bruce Turner is on the message board saying, these 3 hours a day give me hope in knowing that there are people who think like me, so I know we have the power to change what is going on in this administration, and they know it too. Very good point, Bruce. Very good point, because when we do these 3 hours every day, these are not people we tell to call. We just open up the lines, and there are more people than we give ourselves credit for, ready to do what's got to be done. We just got to do it. Very, very, very good point, Bruce. You encouraged me when you said that. Talking about encouragement, let me go to the main super activist, I call her, extraordinary activist extraordinary in Chicago, Illinois, Sister Pam. Pam, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. Happy New Year.
Hello, Reverend Sharpton. Happy New Year, good New Year to everyone. And let me just say thank you for all that you do. You know we appreciate you. Reverend Sharpton, also in January, they have something that they call Dry January. And it's usually for people who are maybe, trying to just eliminate alcohol, at least for the month, to do a restart. So I'm just hoping that those people who are participating in that, I hope that they're successful and that everything goes well. And then also people who are just trying to do a restart, whether it's getting healthy or being more active, whatever it is, renewing, your spiritual beliefs and activism, whatever it is. I'm just, hoping in 2026 it is going to come to fruition. Also, Reverend Sharpton, I hope that we're getting our memberships together with our civil rights organizations. It's tax time. Set some money aside and do that. Donate. Do your memberships. Make sure we are being active and trying to secure our own future. So having said that, Reverend Sharpton, I wanted to touch on, let us not forget what's going on in addition to everything else. Epstein files, documents being dropped almost every day. We need to pay attention to those who were participants and those who possibly knew about it. We cannot have a sex ring pedophile, child rapist ring. We cannot have this flourishing when we have all of the information. It's unconscionable. We see our children as prey, as sexual prey. That's all we see. And so we have to be mindful about that, and we have to hold everybody accountable. As I told you, I'm reading the book of Virginia Giuffre, her account of what happened. And there were parties hosted by Epstein that people attended, and they know who they are. Those people should speak out and say something. So I just don't want us to forget that. Next, January 6th, the savages that committed that terrorist attack, and that's what I see it as, insurrection, a terrorist attack. So we're talking about not only that they beat officers, you talked about hanging Mike Pence, but then also remember the savagery of just destroying everything within the Capitol, but then spreading feces all over the wall. Now, what kind of animal does that? And then who had to clean that up, Reverend Sharpton? More than likely, it was the custodians that looked like you and me who had to go in and clean that mess up. And then what happens? Then you have the adjudicated sexual abuser, right? You had him to pardon each and every one of the terrorist attackers. And then they're going to have, I guess, some kind of march or protest in honor of Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah, that's right.
And but you see how just they don't care. But with Ashley Babbitt, let's talk about that one moment. See, because the cowards that accompanied her, when they saw her breach that opening and get shot, what did those cowards do? They didn't attack. They ran like the cowards they are and like the cowards that the person in the Oval Office is. So I want us to be clear about what happened. You saw savagery, you saw cowardice, and you just saw a blatant disrespect for just people and a willingness to kill. I don't know what would have happened had they got their hands on Mike Pence or Nancy Pelosi. But we saw what they did to those officers. And the officers who died, some of them died.
That's right.
But the injured ones, we saw what they did. And so now we just want to pretend like forgetting it. The media doesn't want to talk about it. No, it's etched in my memory. And so I know what they're capable, what the maggots are capable of doing. The last piece I'm going to talk about, Maduro. Reverend Sean, we have to be clear. Are we seeing what we think we're seeing? And what we know is that, you know, everything is orchestrated by, this corrupt criminal. So I suspect that this wasn't a capture. I suspect that there were calls between, maybe Rubio and whoever is the counterpart in Venezuela. And this was already orchestrated and arranged for him to be captured. Because how do you go and capture someone's president and not have one shot fired? Does that make sense?
That's
so
right.
You're going to go into the country, not one shot fired by his personal security or any of his military. So I don't believe for a moment that our military went in there. It was all arranged, organized, and it was a surrender. And there is some agreement that Maduro is here now, but it's made to look as if he was captured. It was a surrender. It was an agreement. And let's not believe everything that comes out of this White House. Why is that important? Only because, let's say we have a Democratic president in office. What happens when the same forces that this adjudicated sexual abuser controls, what happens when those same forces organize another country to come in and remove a Democratic president? Do you see where I'm going with this, Reverend Sharpton?
Right. I do. I'm following you. You're making great points. You're right.
Thank you. And so I'm saying, let's be clear about what we see, because they won't do this to their own Republican president, but you better believe they'll try to do this and remove a Democratic president right here in the United States. And so if you're going along with this, then you're the problem. And so I'm saying we have to galvanize, mobilize, because one way to deal with this is to vote. The other way is to make our voices heard. Call your congressmen, call your senators. Right now, we still have the ACA has not, the subsidy is not extended.
Right.
People's health care, unaffordable. People are choosing between health care and whatever else they have to do and hoping that they don't get sick. The Republican Party, for me, is a hate group. These are my words, Reverend Sharpton, not yours.
Wait a minute, hold on 1 minute. I want you to finish this. I want you to finish this. You're going down the road we need to talk about. Hold on 1 minute, Pam. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited. And you should be excited to turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you. And if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live. 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9. And we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
Can you put your hands together? I got the feeling. Oh, won't you say, baby, baby, I got that. Baby, ow, feeling, baby, ow, hey, baby, baby, baby. Thank you so much. My name is True Osborne. Humbled and honored.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising, but one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich Newton for bringing us back. Of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care in the White House. We gonna organize our house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow.
Citizens Magazine, because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, it's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are. Because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
King, Dr. Richardson, most of all, let me thank Reverend Al Sharpton for bringing us all here together today in the Urban Action Network. I am proud to be a candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, but I am mindful that I wouldn't be here if it had not been for Reverend Al Sharpton running for president, and Carol Moseley Brown running for president, and Jesse Jackson running for president, and Shirley Chisholm running for president. They paved the way, and I stand on their shoulders.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
I celebrate the day you were born. You have been, over all of your years, such an extraordinary leader. You are a voice of truth, a voice of conscience, a voice of practicality around what we must address and what we can do.
Thank you, Rev. Thanks for that introduction. Look, we've known each other for a long time. I'm grateful not only for your leadership and partnership, but quite frankly, more importantly, for your friendship. And thanks to all of you, members of our nation's most important civil rights organization.
For over 3 decades, the National Action Network has stood on the front lines for our communities, fighting for justice, lifting up the voiceless, and showing up where it matters most. Presidents, world leaders, and global changemakers have all testified to Reverend Al Sharpton's impact and National Action Network legacy of good trouble in the fight for equality. This holiday season, our commitment grows even stronger. We're expanding food distributions, toy drives, and direct support for families who need us now more than ever. Stop right now and join the movement.
No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people
Sharpton. Let's go right back to Sister Pam in Chicago. Pam?
Yes, I'm right. I'm here, Reverend.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
So as I was saying, I said we really need to, we need to get the Black Brigade together. We need to make sure that we're all focusing on trying to do everything we can to stop this political regime. I'm saying that this Republican Party, my words, Reverend Sharpton, not yours, this iteration of the Republican Party is functioning as a fascist hate group. Now, I'm saying as a group, am I saying that every Republican is a racist or hateful? No, I'm not. But you have to question your ethics and your integrity as to why you are so willing to bow down to someone like the adjudicated sexual abuser in the White House. Why did the Republican Party acquiesce to such a violent, vicious, vile man?
Yeah.
You have to ask yourself that true question. So I'm saying right now we have to mobilize in the moment. I'm going to do all that I can. I'm going to donate where I can. I'm not a wealthy person, but I'm going to give what I can and do what I can. Voter registration is critical. And then also, Reverend Sharpton, we have to make sure that the voters can vote and that they're not purged. Because I'm serious about that. 4 million, almost 4 million purged in 2024. The Democratic Party has to look at those numbers. I understand we had way many more that did not participate. And we have to capture those voters and make them understand. I want to do something in voter registration. I want to be as active as I can. And I have a lot on my plate personally, Reverend Sharpton, that I'm dealing with and trying to get through. But it's not going to stop me from making sure that we're okay. Because I'm clear, we have a person in the White House that hates Black people. And I don't know what he's capable of. But I know we have to use all of our resources. The Black Brigade, I'm talking about civil rights leaders, the Black media, Black scholars, all things and everything, all of our resources, our cultural resources. And then if we don't like the Democratic Party, let's make it into what it needs to be. Let's exert our power. And hopefully that makes sense to a lot of people. But that's where my thinking is.
No, and I agree with you. I think that, as one that has built a national organization, we're in our 35th year, and when I was a younger guy, I built a youth movement. I always, and I'm so glad you said this, Pam, I always get concerned when people are good at tearing down and not good at building something up. So they can tell you what's wrong with anything. But then the alternative is what? There's nothing we're going to have that will be perfect and satisfy everyone. So can we build something or take over the building of something? If it's Democratic Party, if it's an independent party, can we build and take over something viable that addresses the problem rather than our continuing to just deal with rhetoric, thinking somebody cares about us running our mouth? Nobody really cares about that.
And I agree. And for me, it's a no-go. Supporting a best friend of a child rapist, a person who was convicted as a sexual abuser, but then the judge went on to say in his writings that he, according to New York Penal Code, committed rape. There's nothing I want from a rapist. Absolutely nothing. And I don't want anything from people who can support that. So I'm clear about my vision of what we need to do and somewhat how we need to do it. But it's going to take all of the moving parts to put this together. But if he can do it to Maduro, and also let's talk about there's gold, Reverend Sharpton. Let's not forget the other resource. There's gold in Venezuela. So if he can, if this person can do this to a Maduro, they will no doubt, these same forces will try to do this to a Democratic elected president right here in the United States. And I'm clear about that.
Absolutely right. Thank you for your call. A lot of great points there.
Thank you.
Let me go to Rick now in Germany. Rick called us back from Germany. Rick, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton. Is Rick there now?
Hear me now?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I do hear you now.
All right, brother. I just want to say that I want to talk about the Constitution and the U.S. Congress for a minute. Sister Pam, she always talks about Trump as a rapist, but the Republicans don't care about him as a rapist. They don't care about him as a felon. The Congress doesn't care because the Constitution has been suspended. The Constitution was suspended in 1994. I told this audience and the Word Philadelphia audience that the Constitution was suspended just after the first World Trade Center bombing, and Bill Clinton went on to put on a sex show to see if the militia groups were seriously paying attention to politics. At that time, they were not, but they are now. And the Congress is bought and paid for and as corrupt as this president. So I don't think unless we elect a new Congress or a serious group of people who are willing to vote and impeach and convict this man and get him out of office, I don't think we're going to get better in 2026, 2027, and 2028. I'm done, brother man.
Very, very interesting. Thank you for your call. Let me bring in Patricia from Connecticut. Patricia.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Brother Sharpton.
Hi.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm talking about, I was thinking about Pam said everything that I wanted to say. And you are our leader. You are one of our leaders. We need all these leaders. Where's all our people? Back in the 60s, we had so many leaders. But what's going on today? You know, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. But what is going to happen to our people? It's like we're going back in time.
Absolutely. I mean, sometime I get out here and wonder, where is everybody? You're right.
Yeah, what happened? Where all our people? Except for you, Hakeem Jeffries, and some other people. I haven't seen nobody. Where's everybody?
If I knew, I would certainly tell you, but I do not know. Really. I really don't know. If I sound evasive, I'm not trying to be evasive. I really don't know. I think that it's enough room for everybody, but you got to come on out here. People say, well, you're out there. I don't know how to get out there. I'm out here because I got out here. All you got to do is get out here and start doing the work. There's no magic to this.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, thank you.
That's true.
Thank you for your call. Let me go.
Thank you, Brother.
Let me go to Sly in Detroit, Michigan.
Let's take a break.
Wait a minute. Let me take my break first, and we'll be right back.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, you know, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills. Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misused them and listened to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are and why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes
end up making you a joke.
We have a positive birthday. So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in. Yes, sir. We were we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses.
Sir, it's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine. Good.
Right, last time. And we,
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have a slave.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
Keeping it real. I'm your host. Keeping it real. Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. Keeping it real. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. And I've been on the phones already working on Politics Nation this weekend. We're back on Saturday and Sunday. Last week we were preempted because of the whole kidnapping, in my view, of Maduro from Venezuela. But we're on this Saturday and Sunday. In fact, I was on a little bit Sunday, but we're on the whole shows 5 p.m. Sunday. I'm really going to deal with not only what does Venezuela mean, but about the Affordable Care Act that has expired, and no one is talking about how right now people's premiums are doubling, tripling, and more. Some just eliminate altogether. I'm going to have some members of Congress and the Senate on that, talk about the whole anniversary of January 6th and the arrogance of people that cause harm to even law enforcement to act like they were martyred because they were pardoned of criminal acts by President Trump. We'll have some legal experts on. You want to really see Politics Nation this weekend dealing with a plethora of issues that directly deal with us on the ground. So don't miss it. Tell all of your friends. I had someone that made me feel encouraged. Someone stopped me the other day and said one of his New Year's resolutions is going to watch Politics Nation every Saturday and Sunday. He said, if I'm out, I'm having a tape. He said, because I want to support it. And frankly, Reverend, I don't only want to support you. I want the information because you give it raw and unfiltered. I said, well, the advantage I have of doing a TV show, raw and unfiltered, as this gentleman said, is because I was Al Sharpton when I got there. They already knew who I was, so I didn't have to find a persona. I brought one. And I think that I'm going to always be true to who that is. All right, let's go to Sly in Detroit. Sly, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Good afternoon, Reverend Al. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Real quick, let me describe a true bully for you. Okay. Last summer, you get the clown that's in the White House. He goes and attacks little Iran on the premise of nuclear capabilities, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then he goes to Little Venezuela under the suspicion of trafficking fentanyl. Okay. Now, allegedly, fentanyl comes from China.
Right.
So how come the big bad bully has not sent any military or drones to attack the facilities that create the fentanyl over in China? Sounds to me like someone that really knows how to pick and choose his battles. What do you think about that?
I think you're absolutely right. I think that he is definitely very different in his behavior and his strategy and in his execution when he's dealing with a superpower like China or even Russia than he is with smaller countries that end up not being able to defend themselves. You know, I always looked at guys in school that were bullies, and you use the term bully. They always knew to pick on somebody that appeared to be weaker than them, and in many cases appeared not to even want to, answer them. I don't want no trouble. I don't want to fight. And that's the people they picked on. They didn't want to pick on people they felt could give them a fight.
Absolutely. And I'll leave you with just a little saint humor. Don't be surprised if that fool goes back down to Venezuela to try to attack, and they end up stealing that Nobel Peace Prize from the lady that beat him out, and he'll end up putting his name on it like he puts his name on everything else.
Yeah, well, I saw, thank you for your call, but I saw a news bulletin this afternoon. I'm trying to pull it up myself, saying she's willing to share the prize with her. I don't know why she wants to do that. First of all, I don't know if she can do that. The Nobel Committee decides who gets the prize. So I don't know if there's some negotiating there to make him feel better so that he will do something in Venezuela that the opposition party wants. But it's strange to me. Let me go to David in San Francisco. David?
Yeah. Yeah, how are you, Reverend?
Hi, how you doing, David? Happy New Year to you.
Well, I'm glad I followed that last caller. My psychiatrist tells me that I've got a Davy complex.
A what complex? What kind of complex?
Davy.
Baby.
Davy and like Davy and Goliath.
Oh, David complex. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And so I'm always picking on giants. I'm always picking on bullies. So I personally get a little glee out of messing with these guys. The idea of, I was interested in pollution, and whether it's the pollution that's going to come from war. We in America have really never seen battles in the Great Lakes or the Gulf of Mexico. And if there's a war looming, you can count on shrimp prices going way up because the shrimp in the Gulf of Mexico are going to be heavily polluted with the results of war. And same in the Great Lakes, with the cleanest fresh water in the world is up in the Great Lakes, and we're going to all of a sudden have a great risk of poisoning it with war up there. And the idea that Donald Trump has refused to deal with pollution issues, he wants to deregulate everything and declare it as, it's important for business to pollute, and anybody that tries to stop it is some sort of an anti-business, anti-capitalist. And so the idea of, it's real easy to pick on these bullies because, by God, they're poisoning themselves as well as poisoning the world. So in some ways, it makes it easy to try to save their miserable lives by refusing to take part in their potential crimes. And one of the things that's going on right now, and I think I called you about this 3 years ago. You remember East Palestine, Ohio? They had that big train derailment, and it spread poison gas all over. The gas went 40 miles. And it went over rich towns and it went over poor towns. So everybody got poisoned by poison gas. And there was a train derailment down in Kentucky just before Christmas. And in fact, it was into Christian County. And the idea that 3 years ago, the Congress promised that they were going to do double-walled tank cars on railroad cars, double walls. Instead of a single wall on a poison gas thing that's coming through every town in America, they put double walls on it to make us safer. Well, they've never done it. And the Republicans have run Congress for all of those 3 years, and they've refused to get around to doing double-walled tank cars. So I've been messing with these bullies here for the last few days, demanding that Congressman Graves of northern Missouri, Sam Graves, put together, he's the head of the Transportation Committee in Congress, and he promised 3 years ago he was going to put in those double-walled tank cars, and he hasn't done it. So, it's easy to me to mess with these bullies because they're not smart enough to keep from poisoning themselves.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that it calls for us to really deal with this at a higher level, because I think it's easy and unchallenging to get in these little diabolical debates among each other, rather than finding out the grounds that we find common and going as a united front against those that are in that really are having their knee on all of our necks. But thank you for your call, David. Let me.
Sure.
He'd already go. All right. Tricia is writing on our message page. It's time to mature and stop that lazy narrative or the both sides narratives. That's how we got here with the Trump regime, Project 2025. Tricia hit it right on the head as far as I'm concerned. Let's go to Lamont in Maryland. Lamont, you're keeping it real with Sharpton.
Hey, Al, can you hear me?
Yeah, I do hear you.
Hey, how's it going? I just had a quick question. How do you feel? Do you think descendants of American slaves, Black Americans, ADOS, foundational Black Americans, whatever term you want to use, do you think they deserve cash reparations? If not, why?
Do I think that that who should get the cash reparations?
Again, when I say Black Americans, descendants of American slaves, foundational Black Americans, ADOS, whatever term you want to use, meaning Black people, foundational, Black Americans.
Yeah, well, I would put it this way. First of all, I've always supported reparations, and expounded on it publicly for the last 40 years, even before I started National Action Network. I support reparations. And I certainly support reparations for the descendants of slaves and forms of reparation for blacks that were here and discriminated against, but maybe not born here. You can't discount. Part of the argument I have with some is that you cannot argue the fact that people that are descendants of slaves is one level. But there are others that were, their forefathers may not have been slaves, but they had to sit in back of buses. They couldn't get jobs. They couldn't get bank loans. So there must be forms of repairing all the damage done. And rather than our fighting between who is discriminated against more, none of us have gotten any reparations yet. So I support both levels of that.
I'm sorry, Al. My question specifically, though, was...
And I answered your question. And I'm sorry, I answered your question. You asked me, do I believe in the financial reparations of people enslaved born in America? I said yes, but I also added, what you want to do is limit my answer. I answered your question. Thank you for your call. Or maybe you was missing. This is Keeping It Real. Sharpton. That's my name. Be right back. Keeping It Real. Thank God I was blessed to have both in my life. Both historic, strong figures. But if I misuse them and listen to not only figures that are not as historic as them, but figures that had nothing to do with the calling and purpose of my life, I would live confused. I'd be double-minded. I'm clear. And what I want you to do is be clear. Clear on who you are, why you are. And a lot of that will be exposed to you and others by who you are around and who you allow to enter your head. Keep people at a distance that only have a distant and unclear vision of who you are and who you are supposed to be. They could be your blood relatives, but they could not be the ones that accompany you toward what you ought to be about tonight. Everybody good to you ain't good for you. Everybody that makes you laugh sometimes end up making you a joke.
Tony Wafer, Los Angeles chapter, NASDAQ Network. He just came in here to New York a couple days ago, had to stop by the House of Justice, and I sure enough found some justice, so I know I can leave here feeling like I got peace.
All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo, Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. It's not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee, sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars, focus on the journey. Michael Beater, Michael rose to the top. He outsang his cynics, he outdanced his doubters, he outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us someone that taught us love, someone that taught us hope. We want to thank you because we know it was your dream too. And we know that your heart is broken. I know you have some comfort from the letter from the President of the United States and Nelson Mandela, but this was your child. This was your brother. This was your cousin. Nothing will fill your heart's loss. But I hope the love that people are showing will make you know he didn't live in vain. And I want his 3 children to know, wasn't nothing strange about your daddy. It was strange what your daddy had to deal with. But he dealt with it. He dealt with it anyway. He dealt with it for us. So some came today, Mrs. Jackson, to say goodbye to Michael. I came to say thank you. Thank you because you never stopped. Thank you because you never gave up. Thank you because you never gave out. Thank you because you tore down our divisions. Thank you because you eradicated barriers. Thank you because you gave us hope. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Our theme this year is we're going to straighten out tricks in 26. Straighten out tricks in 26. All the tricks is over. Changing the voting line. Straighten out tricks in 26. Selling us product but don't give us our diversity, equity, and engagement and inclusion. Straighten out tricks in 26. The tricks is over. It's fighting time. It's stand-up time. It's correcting time. I had a thought this morning that I want to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors. But there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And, of course, you can go on our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. We're joined, as we are every Tuesday at this hour, by the senior pastor of the First Corinthian Baptist Church in Harlem, member of the National Board of National Action Network, and best-selling author, the Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. How you doing, Dr. Walron?
Hello?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Good, pretty good, man. How you doing today, man?
Doing good, doing good. Let me get you, before going to the phones or the message board, let me give you the opportunity to give your analysis of this whole question of the abduction or kidnapping, however one wants to phrase it, of Maduro and this engagement in Venezuela by the United States government under Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think there's many things that can be said. I will say this. It sets a dangerous precedent globally. It feeds into a narrative of American exceptionalism. In other words, that there are things America can do because of its sovereignty that they would hold other nations accountable for doing. And so it always makes it seem when you make these moves that America feels they're above and beyond the very kind of constraints that we would want to put on other nations. You can't call yourself kind of this standard bearer for democracy in the globe and then engage in actions that we've seen with regard to Venezuela and Maduro and his wife. So I think it's a dangerous precedent. I think it is tragic, because what we see again is another example of what happens when someone like a Trump or a president feels they have unilateral power to whatever is at the, I think, beck and call of his whims. And so it puts us in a bad position as a country globally. It further tarnishes, because our global view as leaders and the leaders of democracy, it further weakens that view. It further undermines that narrative. And in many ways, it makes it difficult for us to critique any other nation that seeks to do this. I think the most obvious one, I'm sure you've talked about it, would be China and Taiwan in terms of that relationship. And I think I read somewhere that in China, they've kind of, in some quarters, they've even made these remarks. Because how can America stand against China if they do the same thing with Taiwan? It is dangerous. And we've been saying this for a long time. It's only been 1 year. There are a lot of moves that are being taken by this president that are setting dangerous precedents in this country. It's making it very difficult for us to really build upon any credibility as a nation in this world.
Now, at the same time, the motive of what is being done here has certainly been questioned by me and others. That this is, at one level, I think the normalization of this is to try to bring us back to the Monroe Doctrine. But another level is the business interest, and there always seems to be some business interest when it comes to Trump, of oil and dealing with the oil in a way that he can deal with the big oil companies, some of his friends here. And it also, as you say, sets a pattern, a dangerous precedent that could be used on Nigeria, who he's attacked and falsely accused of killing Christians. And Nigeria is also oil rich. And I think that he said very little, if anything, about democracy. In fact, he said the vice president would stay in place. So he certainly can't say he's gone up against a non-democratic process, or he's there to fight for democracy, because he barely mentioned the word.
It barely mentioned the word, and when you start making statements like "we run Venezuela," I don't even know what that means.
Right.
But you can't look at a nation, even though we know what Maduro is about. We know of the corruption. We know of his seeking to hold on to elections that clearly he lost. But you can't then decide, well, we're going to take this man as wipe out the country, and then you have this vice president moving the position, but then make statements like we're going to run Venezuela. It is the same, as you said, alluded to. This is about money. This is about business. This is about oil companies here in America gaining control. This is about a country, Venezuela, that had more oil reserves than we could ever imagine, almost 4 times the amount of oil reserves we have here. So this is clear what this play is about. And I think global leaders understand that. I've seen a mixed bag of reaction to what was done. As I see it, and from what I've seen so far, a majority of other nations are not supportive of what was done,
right,
even though they agree in terms of Maduro's role. But it's just dangerous. It's hard. It weakens our moral position to critique any nation that does anything like this. Last time I say, Rev, it makes sense then. Someone who does this, it makes sense that he's supportive of Putin, that he doesn't draw a hard line with Putin, because it's a very fine line between what was done in Venezuela and what Putin is trying to do with Ukraine.
No doubt about it. Lastly on that, do you think that it is interesting? I'm trying to find the right word. Interesting, if not revealing, that he is just in an arrogant, passionate way dismissed the authority of the United States Congress. I mean, he didn't tell them, and he's not apologizing about it even after the fact. He's just totally seemed to neutralize their ability to rail him in, which does it add or does it not add to the need for a real turnout in the midterm elections to empower his opposition party?
Oh, absolutely. I from the moment this took place, I've been saying and telling people that this midterm is critical on many levels. I think that right now we're looking at a president without any constraints by Congress, very little by Supreme Court. And I think the only way you shift this is if we can turn somehow Congress around, flip Congress, or I mean, I think that's the only way, because what we know is that the Republican congressional leaders are not going to hold him accountable. And so he knows that. He's going to run roughshod and do as much as he can do. I wouldn't be surprised, Rev, if we see more actions like this before the midterms. I think he's going to, because I think there's a part of him that feel, well, hey, if we lose the Congress, it changes the dynamics of what we can do, and it changes the accountability, and it actually may raise some checks and balance on him. So I don't think this is going to be the last thing we see, Rev, before the midterms.
I don't either. I think he's got a hat full of tricks, and he's going to play them all. Let's go to Woody in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WRE. Woody.
Hey, Rev.
Hey.
Hey, Reverend. I just wanted to say, each time I get both you pastors on at the same time for some reason in between customers, but God has a way of working all kinds of things out. I just wanted to say I appreciate you both, but Reverend Sharpton, you're a special person. And like I said, we're the same age, but you're a special person. And dealing with the issues pertaining to Donald Trump, you got to go back to what he said in the beginning, before, while he was running. We're going to make America. Let's make America great again. What do you think, Reverend Sharpton, he was talking about?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So when you think about the land we're standing on that we now call America, the natives that were here before America is what this land is. And how did they get it? They took it. You want to talk about bullies. Bullies take what they want. You got to stand up to a bully. And the only way we can do it in a nonviolent way is to vote. So my thing is, and I would love to see this happen, Reverend, to this Office of Long-Term Residency that you hear me talking about all the time is a way of helping the elders teach the younger people through their experience of being in a neighborhood as long as they have. Now, gentrification is wiping us out. It won't be no story for them to tell because gentrification happened so quick. Man, I went to sleep in the ghetto, so-called ghetto, and woke up in Center City overnight. This is a reality that's happening to us as we speak. If we don't pay attention to first, 52% can't read at third grade level, so I don't blame all the black people. I try to teach what I can here at the barbershop as much as I can to share, but you cannot help a person if they can't read what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Walron. Be right back. Keeping it real. I had a thought this morning that I wanted to share with you about mentorship. I am able to do a lot of what I do because I had great mentors, but there are correct ways and incorrect ways to mentor people, in my opinion. I was mentored as a boy preacher by Bishop F.D. Washington, one of the great Pentecostal preachers of his time. Then Reverend William Jones, who became my pastor after Bishop Washington died, who was unquestionably in the top 5 black church ministers, theologians. Reverend Jesse Jackson, who I started my activism under his leadership, he and Reverend Jones. And I learned politics directly as a youth director from Shirley Chisholm. So even though I didn't finish college, I had the most unique education in the world from being exposed to giants. But the one thing I learned is as I grew older and people started coming younger than me and wanted me to teach and mentor them, the magic of the mentors I had is they did not want me to be their clone. They wanted me to learn things from them and use my own gifts and talents in my own unique way and let me do things on my own because they knew that if I flopped in some things, it would teach me for the other things. They'll come and help me once I was down, but they were not going to have me avoid being down. And they were not going to impose themselves on me. Why am I saying that? Because too many mentors want clones. And too many mentees want their mentors to put them on a pedestal. Oh, so-and-so didn't do this for me. Oh, so-and-so didn't open doors for me. If they got to open doors for you, it may mean that they knew you weren't ready to go through those doors. Their job is to prepare you. Your job is to develop your own skills, your own unique ways. And I don't care if it's my daughters, who both have come into their own, or anyone else. I'm not a talent agent. I did not form National Action Network to give people their step up. I formed it to fight for justice for everybody. If talented people get in, it's my job to invest and give them a platform. It's their job to get on the platform and perform and show their ability. Sitting with me today in the office as I talk about is one of my mentees, Reverend Stephen Marshall. Now, Stephen, you just came around us when you were how old?
11 years old. 11
years old. You just turned 40 and now you're called to the ministry?
Yes, sir.
And what do you do in National Action Network?
I formulate policies, lead in various regions, but most importantly, I senior advisor to you on all things from social justice strategies, politics, intergovernmental affairs, you name it, community organizing, all of that stuff.
And I could go through scores of others. My daughter started Huddle. They got Huddles now, which is for young people to meet once a week all over the country. I just saw the video from the Las Vegas National Action Network chapter. Now, when you decided to preach, did I ever tell you to become a preacher?
Not one time.
Who called you to preach?
The Lord.
All right. And did I say go to this school or that school?
No, sir.
Did I open this door, that door? Did I tell you be ready when the doors open?
Always be ready and prepared.
And that's what I'm saying. Get you some young people than you that you can help along the way. But don't be their talent agent. Their talent must speak for themselves. And anybody that grumbles with you about so-and-so didn't do something for them, maybe it's because they didn't feel you were ready or that they felt if they did it, you wouldn't do it on your own. But we all don't live forever. I want the next generation to speak of me, of National Action Network and others.
the way I speak of Reverend Jones and Bishop Washington and Shirley Chisholm and Reverend Jackson. But I just don't want young people to feel that somebody ought to give them the reins of leadership or give them the reins of business or whatever it is you're in. You need to learn from their journey, get the pearls of wisdom from them, but don't have them do for you, because then it means you can't do it for yourself.
That I want to end. He talked about the dry bones in the valley.
I'll tell you that.
The only reason that the wind could blow life into the bones is because at some point they had to be connected. If the wind had blown into a disconnected body, it still wouldn't have worked. So before he prophesied to the wind, they had to first get the foot bone to connect to the ankle bone, and the ankle bone to the calf bone, and to the knee bone, and the knee bone to the thigh bone. If we are to prophesy to the wind, we must first connect this body. We must connect Eddie Long to Farrakhan and Cornel West to Elders and Lowry to Sharpton. If we can connect this body, then God will blow the breath of life into our community. But as long as we are disconnected, the wind can't blow because it's blowing on disconnected dry bones. But the good news is that we're the children of people that have been through worse than this, and we're still here. So even though I get despondent, I don't ever get depressed, because I want the world to know you won't beat us, because we're the children of those that took the worst form of slavery and brutality that ever lived, that ever existed. Our parents survived the Middle Passage. Only the strong got here, and then we lost our name, our culture, our religion, and we're still here. But you don't know who we are. We're the children of Chaka Zulu. We're the children of Mary McLeod Bethune. We're the children of Marcus Garvey. We're the children of Martin Luther King. We'll be here. We were first and we'll be last. We know who we are.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, "The two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you are born." I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me, and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you know, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
Racial discord, a blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
I
a race
had to
baiter.
learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or social justice, none of this stuff, but don't live your life worried about opposition or people that don't like you. You can turn that around. Use me as an example. The same people that called me a scam artist, a con artist, a sellout, or racial hustler and all, I kept going. And the people I respected started respecting and publicly embracing my work.
When Coretta Scott King, the widow of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., had this to say about Al Sharpton.
A leader who has protested injustice with a passionate, unrelenting commitment to nonviolent action in the spirit and tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. And I am talking about your leader, our leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
The other thing that hasn't changed is the National Action Network's commitment to
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host. Let's go to the sage of the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Walron.
Hey, good evening, afternoon, brothers.
Good evening. How you doing?
Sharpton, I'm great today. I wanted to address first something that Rick said when he mentioned the Trump base. The Trump base is 33 to 35% of the country. We're not necessarily concerned or trying to change the Trump base. It is the other independents, moderates, and some Democrats that gave Trump the other 15 to 18% that he needed to win the election. And the only reason I'm bringing it up because I don't want our people to get discouraged in participating in the vote based on how much support Trump gets from his base. It's irrelevant, Trump base. We're concerned about those other numbers, and we're winning as far as trying to convince those other numbers that the country has made a bad mistake. So I wanted to keep that enthusiasm up for what we're doing to get those independents and some Democrats and moderates and et cetera that decided to give this guy opportunities. I just wanted to throw that in the conversation. Secondly, I like to say that America, this experiment in rule democracy has only been going on for 200 and something years. The only way they push democracy is where there's resources available. Historically, just check it out. They don't push democracy in the countries, in other little countries that don't have resources. They push this concept of democracy in countries that they want to get an influence and a control over. Historically speaking, there has been many, if you pull up civilization, there have been many civilizations there, kings ruled big empires in Africa, in China, in India, and other places. You know what I mean? And the issue wasn't the kings in India. I remember up in the Onondaga Indians up in upstate New York, they had a situation where they had a leader and they had a townhouse or a tribal council. All of these societies had this type of concept where just one guy didn't necessarily dominate. They had an experience with a bad king in Europe. So they took the position that everybody has a bad problem with bad kings. That wasn't the case. You know what I mean? Historically, I'm just saying that wasn't the case. So this false concept of pushing this concept called democracy when they had 30 million or 22 million African Americans right here that they refused to give equal democracy to, but still push democracy worldwide. You know what I mean? They're very hypocritical in the position. I think that we need to, it's a system that we have. We have to participate in it right now because of what it is. But let's give the true context, in my opinion, of this so-called experiment for 200 and something years where they're trying to push that worldwide. You know what I mean? And I just have I'm just tired of them living a lie, and we help perpetrate the lie. You know what I mean? By repeating the lie. You know what I mean? I just can't, just deal with that.
No, I feel you on that. I join you on that. You're correct. And there's a difference, Brother Jihad and Reverend Walron, in adjusting your actions and words so that you can be heard, even if you're going to be disagreed by who's listening, and in just altering and silencing yourself out of some cowardly instinct that I better not say that. I mean, some things You just don't need to try and confirm, certify, or act like they are correct.
That's correct. That's correct. And there was something else I wanted to say about this concept of enemy, using the language that China is our enemy. The Chinese have not killed one American, to my knowledge.
Right.
Not one.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they use the language of enemy because that's the concept of war. That's the mentality of war. You know what I mean? The Chinese are competitors, and when we lose the competition, right? Or if we start to lose the competition, then we start to frame them as an enemy. And then Chinese also hold America's debt. They loan America money. You know what I mean? So you take money from your enemy.
Right.
You invite the enemy to the White House to have a ball.
And negotiate them to extend the loan, not call the note.
Right. That's right. You know what I mean? And then you take Saudi Arabia man, who's not a democracy, and you bring him to the White House and you treat him like he's your girlfriend.
Right.
You know what I mean? You treat Kim Jong like he's a girlfriend. You write him love letters. All of these supposedly enemies. You know what I mean? So we can't get caught up in this psychological game, this psychological warfare with language that these people perpetrate also. And I just wanted to throw that in the conversation with that.
All right. Thank you for your call. You know, Reverend Walron, I think that he raises the right question about how we as American citizens, black and white in this respect, even though we may look at it through different lenses, how we allow language like who is our enemies to make us sign on to policies that we don't necessarily agree with. Because I think he's right. China is our enemy. Why? Because they want to be a superpower rather than us. Well, is that really got something to do with our interests as individual citizens?
No, I think he hit it on the head. There's a strategy that's been going on for centuries, I would say, at least in this country, and that is this notion, two parts, of demonize and weaponize. You demonize those who you want to conquer, and you weaponize lies, right? So you demonize, as he says, as beautifully said, China is not the enemy. That's a competitor. But you use the language to demonize China. I mean, we saw it during enslavement. You demonize people of the enslaved Africans, and then you weaponize lies against them. We see it all the time, and I think we're seeing that happen now. Demonization, weaponization becomes the form of conquest and the infusion of imperialism across the globe.
No, I totally concur with that, and I think that I think that we have the obligation to really be careful here. Let's go to Gerald in Virginia. Gerald, you're keeping it real with Sharpton and Walron.
Look like we lost Gerald.
We lost Gerald. Let me go to David in Maryland. David.
Yes, thank you, Reverend Sharpton, and thank you, Reverend Walron. I just have a question. My question is this. It takes money to keep, I think, the largest aircraft carrier off the coast of Venezuela and the other troops and the support trips, et cetera. It takes increased money because you're in a war zone. You got to pay people different rates, et cetera. A few has to be brought to that aircraft carrier, et cetera. I'm drawing the research. How much money does it take increase per day? And then, with respect to Mr. Trump talking about tariffs, bringing in money, I would like to say to his supporters, it's offsetting. American people are paying for that alma mater out there, increased money. And if somebody can do the research to find out how much are we paying for that alma mater, and how is that offsetting the tariffs that Mr. Trump says is coming in? And thank you for taking my call.
I think that's an excellent question. I'm going to have, you just changed part of my show this weekend on Politics Nation. I'm going to have somebody come in and do the numbers this weekend. Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back. You know
So we just wanted to greet you all and thank you for allowing us in.
Yes, sir. We want to go with gold. Yeah, we was here.
They were on the plantation.
Our family was on the plantation. Wow. And that's, of course, that's the slave house. That's one of the slave houses. Good to see you again, sir. It's been 13 years.
That's right.
Good to
How
see
you been?
Doing fine.
Last time, and we
Alexander Sharpton. How many slaves were staying there?
I have no idea.
This is where they would have the slavery.
Yeah, that's when exactly. That was exactly.
The two people that most influenced my life were from South Carolina, James and Jesse. Jesse right up the road with me. I went for his mother's funeral. Jesse walked me to my mother's casket.
Wow.
To South Carolina. That's the balance of my life, James.
Yeah.
Civil rights, shoulders.
But also where your people from too.
Literally.
Yeah, right.
And when I knew Jesse was from James, I started president.
Yeah.
And James had died before I knew about him in South Carolina.
Oh, really?
Yeah. James died December 25th. He died Christmas Day, 06. And they came to do the story for February of 07. They came in January. His daughter swear that was his daddy and having pushing the information out.
Wow.
And I called Jesse and told him, you know that my great-grandfather was a slave about 45, because Greenville right up to our 20. He said, I told you we was connected. That's why you gotta listen to me. But now.
It's been a long time coming, but I'm
1968. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
When they came for the dream.
Democrats have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself.
Keeping it real.
And I thank that lady at the end of March that knows she won't be on TV.
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron is our co-host. I'm here at NAN Corporate. Reverend Walron and Dominique came in here. You're not on today. The boss is in. Go sit down. She's covered here like she getting ready to sit down here at the mic. Let me remind you. All Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. I'm already on the phone booking some of, and you know, I don't believe in not having people that are in the mix. I want the congressmen and the senators in the room on this Venezuela stuff that were dealing with this issue, that are going to deal with the Affordable Care Act. I don't think there's enough attention to how we've allowed the Affordable Care Act to expire. And I want those in the Senate and the Congress that are in the room on how they're going to force some alternative or force this vote next week, as well as we're going to deal with what is going on in other issues like the redistricting fight around the country. There's still several states that are still battling with redrawing the lines, undermining voting rights. So make sure you watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 on Saturday and Sunday. You in the New York and New Jersey and Connecticut vicinity, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., House of Justice, 145th and Lenox. And you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television and on nationalactionnetwork.net on our live stream, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Saturday morning. Let me tell you to mark the dates. On January 19th is Martin Luther King holiday. And as always, National Action Network will start in Washington, D.C. With our National Action Network Martin Luther King breakfast. And we are having it at the Salamander Hotel. Martin Luther King III and I are hosting that, as we've done for, I probably say, last 20 years. And we're honoring former Attorney General Eric Holder. We're honoring hotel mogul, co-founder B.T. Sheila Johnson. And we're honoring the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, among others. Then we fly back to New York at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be at the House of Justice for our MLK public policy. We ask all of the elected officials to come and report on what they're doing in the spirit of Martin Luther King. And the governor, Hochul, has already confirmed, the mayor and others will be there. And so we do 2 cities every year. This year is important for 2 reasons. One, was important because it's Dr. King holiday. But one, because Trump and them are fighting. This may be the last national holiday if we don't show up. They're trying all kinds of ways. They're talking about releasing King files that would try to slander Dr. King. We need to show in big numbers. You better not mess with this holiday. And you that want to reserve a seat now, don't come to New York at 11:30 saying I want a seat because we're already overflowing. This is probably the last year we're in this House of Justice. We are negotiating in just about there in our new building. But also at Washington, don't come to say, Reverend Al, I heard on radio we was having a breakfast. Yeah, we are. You are not unless you signed up on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Reverend Dr. Walrod, what's going on at FCBC? I saw you on TikTok this morning.
Rev, our theme, every year we have a theme that shapes us, and our theme for 2026 is I Am a New Day Dawning, which speaks of possibility and transformation, and also coming out of some challenging times. And so really excited about this theme this year and where we are. But then on Sunday, we ordained 15 new deacons at FCBC. It was a powerful service, very spiritual, very emotional. 8 men and 7 women. And so it was.
So you ordained 15 this past Sunday?
15 new deacons.
Wow.
First time we've ordained new deacons, Rev, in 7 years.
Wow.
And so it was they had gone through a real extensive process for the last 13 months. And it was really, really, really amazing service. And we did it in the middle of the worship service because this is the community that the deacons serve. And so the people who are part of the community need to see what this moment is and that these are persons who are anointed to be servants in the church. And so it was a beautiful ceremony, beautiful moment. And it was a great way to start this new year off right.
All right. Well, that's awesome. It really is. Thank you for that. Let me go to Mayor Rodney Jones, mayor of Queensbridge Houses in Queens, New York, says on our message page, white supremacy goes back biblically with Emperor Constantine and others with the Anglo-Saxon Yahshua. The devil hates the truth. Let's go to Ron in Atlanta, Georgia. Ron.
Great show. Reverend Sharpton, your presence in America right now stands out and above of so much and so many in our country today. And it really just lines up with the voice of the oppressed and the enslaved that face so much brutality in this country. It's the moral consciousness for civil rights and freedom. But, I really think that what we're seeing in the president is possibly a hint to the fact he may not leave office.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think he's going to be able to make an argument because he can make an argument. And America has always been good to make an argument about race and the brutality, and they done flipped it now as far as the white fellas are the ones who's facing so much injustice. But the truth of the matter is America has not lost its total consciousness of God and the ability to be able to face truth. And hopefully he will not be successful in that. But the fact is, Reverend, gentrification and is causing a big displacement in our cities and in our schools. And I'm going to leave with this here, Rev, because the reality is that when you talk about daycare, elementary, middle school, and high school, it's a great divide. when it comes to a function of cities. Those two does not mix until you have to have court order for busing.
That's right.
Court order. So I don't think that we're really ready for. And what we see, as far as the bulliness of the president and not seeing the outcry, just the fact that he would do it, it let us know that we have undercurrents of racism in this city and what's happening through gentrification that we really haven't faced. But we will see more homelessness. We will see more people sleeping in shelters because we have tore down public housing in Atlanta. And now that you can do it and get away with it in Atlanta, we're seeing other cities and that have joined in the demolishing of public housing. And I would hope that we maybe would not forget that was a wrong decision by Atlanta. Although they were the first to establish public housing, it was a wrong decision, and we see great displacement in the city of Atlanta because of the destruction of public housing.
No,
and I hope that you can take that up soon.
No, Ron, you made a lot of good points. I like thoughtful callers. You're very thoughtful. And I don't think we talk about gentrification enough. In fact, Trisha's saying on the message board, supporting what you said, Ron, that gentrification is also going to take us out politically. The caller's absolutely right. She's with you, Ron, on that. I'm with you. Thank you for your call. I think we've had to deal with gentrification in Harlem, Reverend Walron, where both our national headquarters and your church is, and it does have political ramifications. It really does.
Absolutely, it changes. It changes how people engage, who gets elected, and we've seen it happen in other places. We've seen it in New York City where demographic shifts in particular communities have brought about certain elected officials. I think about people like AOC. I mean, part of her victory was a demographic shift in the communities that she was representing. It hasn't impacted that degree in terms of Harlem, in terms of elected officials, but it's happening, and it's going to happen even more the more we see it take place. And as the caller said, it's happening in other urban centers where you see this. But then it happens in reverse. I'm going to give you an example. If you think about the amount of New Yorkers who've moved to places like Charleston, South Carolina, it has shifted where Charleston, we're talking about not the state of South Carolina, but places like Charleston have become very purple, in terms of their leaning. It doesn't mean, I'm not talking about the whole state of South Carolina.
Right.
There's a big shift of people from New York to places like a Charleston that has shifted in some ways the politics of that community, of that area. So we're going to see that in several different ways. And not only,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rep. Go ahead.
No, and it affects, one of the things I get, and I'm sure you do, traveling around preaching, it has, in many ways, and the geopolitics of this, a lot of people miss, a lot of the whites now are moving back in the urban centers and back in the inner cities, because then they don't have to travel as long to go to work. They can use public transportation where there is, and they move blacks out in the suburbs. And a lot of us now are stuck out there unemployed, and it dilutes a lot of our inner city churches. You're one of the few churches in New York that fills up 2 or 3 times on Sunday. And a lot of it is because a lot of our people have moved out of the inner city. You got whites all through, and blacks that are in the outer boroughs don't have a problem coming and driving because you got to double park and get a ticket. So there's a whole lot of ramifications to gentrification.
Absolutely, and especially with regard, you just pointed out with churches, I think we've seen churches have a decrease in attendance for a number of reasons, but I will say in that group between 55 and 70, we've seen it because the prices have gone up in places like in New York City. Many people have moved down south after retirement.
Right.
And as you know, many of those persons are the strongest supporters in churches. So a lot of churches have struggled. Especially the pandemic hastened some of that departure and hastened some of that disengagement. So it's a very revealing moment.
And that's a problem for a lot of churches and politicians. Everybody ain't Michael Walron and can pull through the gentrification with the sanctification. Yeah.
Right.
Let me thank Reverend Dr. Michael A. Walron. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow.
Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Whatever you do, keep it real.